You're about to miss the person who was meant to marry you. Face screaming in fear, don't let this happen. Because there is something you have not noticed yet. And by the time you finally understand what was happening, this person may already be walking away. Not because they stopped caring. Not because the connection was fake. But because they may have already tried to give you a sign, and you may have misunderstood it. There is a person whose presence in your life may be far more important than you currently realize. And the shocking part? You may already know them. You may have already spoken to them. You may have already seen their name, their face, their message, or their profile. But you did not recognize what was happening. You thought it was just another conversation. Just another person. Just another coincidence. But what if it wasn't? What if the reason you keep remembering someone for no obvious reason is because there is something about that connection you have not fully understood yet? Stay until the end, because in a few moments I am going to reveal the 3 strongest signs that can help you recognize whether this is actually about someone already in your life. And the 3rd sign is the one most people completely miss. But before we get there, listen carefully. There is a reason you may have felt that something was changing in your love life. Maybe you have recently become tired of temporary connections. Maybe you no longer want someone who only appears when they are lonely. Maybe you have started wanting something deeper. Something stable. Something real. Something that does not leave you constantly asking, where do I stand? And this change inside you may be important. Because the person who could eventually become your life partner may not look like the people you were attracted to before. This is where many people make their biggest mistake. They keep searching for the same emotional feeling they experienced in unhealthy relationships. They think love must feel like anxiety. They think chemistry must feel like uncertainty. They think attraction must feel like obsession. But what if the person meant to build something real with you brings something completely different? Peace. Consistency. Respect. Patience. You might initially think, why doesn't this feel intense? And that could be exactly why you overlook them. Because you may have been trained by your past to recognize chaos faster than peace. Think about that. When someone takes hours to reply, you notice. When someone suddenly becomes distant, you notice. When someone gives you mixed signals, you notice. But when someone consistently treats you well, you may not even realize how valuable that is. And this is where your warning begins. Don't overlook the person simply because they are not making you chase them. The person you could build a future with may not be trying to make you jealous. They may not be playing games. They may not disappear and return just to see whether you still care. Instead, they may quietly show you. They remember what you said. They notice small things. They ask about your day. They respect your boundaries. They make an effort. They listen. And most importantly, their actions match their words. But maybe you have not noticed because you were looking for something louder. Something dramatic. Something that feels like a movie. Real love can begin much more quietly. And that is why this message is important. Because you may be standing at a moment where your decision is not about chasing someone. It is about recognizing someone. There is a difference. You don't need to run after the person who is right for you. But you do need to be willing to notice them. Now think about the person who immediately came to your mind when you heard this. Don't ignore that thought. I'm not telling you that this automatically means they are your future spouse. But ask yourself why that person appeared in your mind so quickly. What happened between you? Was there unfinished communication? Did you feel something but never say it? Did circumstances separate you? Did one of you pull away? Did you assume they were not interested? Or perhaps you were the one who rejected the possibility before you truly understood it. Sometimes the biggest missed opportunity in love is not losing someone. It is never giving the connection enough time to reveal what it could have become. And perhaps you have done this before. Someone showed interest. You dismissed them. Someone tried to get closer. You were distracted by someone else. Someone treated you differently. You assumed they were just being nice. And then later, you wondered, why didn't I notice? That question can stay with a person for a long time. But don't let your past mistakes convince you that your future is already lost. If there is someone meaningful in your life, what matters now is how you respond to the present. Not fantasy. Not obsession. Reality. Look at their behavior. Look at their consistency. Look at their character. And ask yourself, is this person actually capable of building the kind of relationship I want? Because someone can create intense emotions and still be completely wrong for you. And someone can feel ordinary at first and eventually become incredibly important. This is why you cannot judge everything from the first few minutes. Sometimes the most important connections need time. Now here comes the first sign. Sign number 1, they keep finding reasons to cross your path. Maybe you keep meeting unexpectedly. Maybe they somehow appear in the same places. Maybe mutual friends keep bringing their name into conversations. Maybe you keep seeing their profile. Maybe they message at strange moments. Maybe circumstances repeatedly create opportunities for interaction. Don't immediately call it destiny. Instead, observe the pattern. Is the connection mutual? Are they also making an effort? Are conversations becoming deeper? Are they showing genuine curiosity about you? Because repetition becomes meaningful only when both people participate. And if they keep appearing but you keep ignoring them because you are afraid, ask yourself why. What exactly are you afraid of? Getting rejected? Getting hurt? Getting attached? Or discovering that you actually care? Sometimes the person you are about to miss is not someone who needs to chase you. They may already be giving you enough opportunities. And you may simply need to stop running away. Now here's the second sign. Sign number 2, you feel different around them. Not necessarily butterflies. Not necessarily nervousness. Something quieter. You feel like you can be yourself. You don't need to perform. You don't need to pretend you are more successful than you are. You don't need to act uninterested to make them chase you. You can laugh. You can talk. You can disagree. You can be honest. And somehow, you still feel comfortable. That matters. Because long-term love is not about constantly impressing each other. Eventually, real life arrives. Bills. Responsibilities. Bad moods. Family problems. Stress. Disagreements. Unexpected situations. The person beside you needs to be someone with whom you can face ordinary life. Not just someone who creates extraordinary moments. And perhaps that is why this person feels different. Maybe you don't feel like you have to earn their attention. Maybe you feel seen. Maybe they listen when you speak. Maybe they remember things that others forget. Maybe you feel strangely calm after talking to them. Don't underestimate that feeling. Peace is not boring. Peace can be a sign of emotional safety. Now we come to the third sign. And this is the one most people ignore. Sign number 3, they make you want to become a better version of yourself without trying to control you. They don't demand that you change. They inspire you. You start thinking differently. You become more serious about your future. You begin taking better care of yourself. You start thinking about stability. You start asking what kind of person you want to become. Not because they pressured you. Because something about the connection makes you want to grow. That is powerful. And if you have someone like that in your life, don't immediately dismiss the connection. But don't blindly label it destiny either. Let time tell you. Because the truth about meaningful love is that it does not need to be forced. It needs to be built. Now there is something else you need to hear. You may be missing this person because you are still emotionally attached to someone from your past. And this is difficult to admit. Sometimes we say we want someone new while secretly hoping someone old will return. We say we are ready to move forward while checking an old profile. We tell ourselves we don't care while imagining what would happen if they suddenly called. And while we are emotionally waiting for the past, we fail to notice the future standing nearby. If that is happening to you, this is your moment to be honest. You don't have to hate your past. You don't have to forget everything. You simply have to stop allowing an old chapter to control the next one. Maybe someone hurt you. Maybe they chose someone else. Maybe they disappeared. Maybe they promised forever and then changed their mind. Whatever happened, it does not mean the next person will do the same. Don't punish a new person for something an old person did. That is one of the easiest ways to miss something beautiful. And there is another trap. Sometimes people reject good connections because they don't look like their type. Maybe you always liked a certain personality. Maybe you were attracted to confident, mysterious, unpredictable people. But perhaps the person who could actually build a life with you is quieter. More stable. More patient. More emotionally mature. They may not give you the emotional roller coaster you once called chemistry. They may give you something better. Certainty. And you may have to learn how to appreciate it. Because when you've experienced chaos for a long time, peace can feel unfamiliar. Don't mistake unfamiliarity for incompatibility. Give healthy people the opportunity to reveal themselves. Now imagine something. Imagine that months from now, you meet this person again. You have changed. They have changed. You finally have a real conversation. And suddenly you realize. This person has been trying to connect with me all along. Would you regret ignoring them? Would you wonder what might have happened? Maybe. But you don't have to wait until then. If there is someone in your life who deserves a conversation, have the conversation. Not a dramatic confession. Not an emotional speech. Just a genuine conversation. Ask questions. Listen. See who they really are. Let reality replace imagination. Because you cannot build a relationship with a fantasy. You build it with a real person. And if they are not right for you, you will discover that too. That is still valuable. Because clarity is better than endless wondering. Now let me tell you something that could completely change the way you see this message. The person you are meant to marry may not be the person who gives you the strongest first impression. They may become the person who gives you the strongest long-term impression. There is a difference. Anyone can impress you for one night. The right person must be able to show up repeatedly. Anyone can say beautiful words. The right person must live those words. Anyone can promise forever. The right person must show commitment through ordinary days. So stop asking only. Do they make me feel something? Start asking. Can we build something? That question can protect your heart. And it can also help you recognize something genuine. Maybe this person is already around you. Maybe they are waiting for you to notice. Maybe they have been afraid to approach you because they cannot read your feelings. Maybe they assumed you were not interested. Maybe your silence has been interpreted as rejection. Think about that. What if they are not moving closer because they believe you don't want them? Sometimes two people can care about each other and still remain separated by assumptions. One thinks, they don't care. The other thinks, they don't want me. And both stay silent. Years can pass because neither person had the courage to ask. Don't let assumptions make your decisions. If someone is safe and respectful, communicate. Ask. Clarify. You may be surprised by what you learn. But remember, communication does not mean chasing someone who has clearly rejected you. Respect their answer. Your dignity matters. A healthy relationship begins with mutual choice. Not pressure. Not manipulation. Not obsession. Mutual choice. And that is exactly what you should look for. Now perhaps this message feels personal because you are currently entering a different season of your life. Maybe you have started changing. Your priorities are different. Your standards are different. Your tolerance for games is lower. Your desire for something genuine is stronger. That transformation can change who you attract and who you notice. The person who would have impressed you 5 years ago may not impress you today. And that's growth. Don't be afraid of that. Maybe you are not too difficult to love. Maybe you simply stopped accepting the wrong kind of love. Maybe your loneliness is temporary. Maybe your standards are protecting your future. But make sure your standards are not actually walls. There is a difference between saying, I know what I deserve, and saying, nobody will ever be good enough. One protects you. The other isolates you. So stay open. Stay wise. Stay grounded. And if someone comes into your life who is kind, consistent, respectful, emotionally available, and genuinely interested, don't reject them simply because they don't create instant chaos. Give them a chance to be known. Give yourself a chance to know them. Because sometimes the person you almost miss becomes the person you are most grateful you noticed. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this. You don't have to know today whether someone will become your spouse. You only need to recognize whether they deserve another conversation. Whether they deserve another meeting. Whether they deserve the opportunity to show you who they really are. That is all. One step. One conversation. One honest moment. And then let life unfold. So if someone is coming to mind right now, ask yourself. What would happen if I stopped assuming and started observing? Maybe you would notice their effort. Maybe you would notice their nervousness. Maybe you would notice that they remember you. Maybe you would notice that they treat you differently from everyone else. Maybe you would discover there was something there all along. Or maybe you would discover that your heart was simply searching for meaning. Either way, you gain clarity. And clarity is powerful. Now, there is one final warning. Do not become so desperate to find the person meant to marry you that you ignore obvious red flags. A prophetic message should never override reality. If someone lies repeatedly, manipulates you, disrespects you, controls you, threatens you, or makes you feel unsafe, walk away. That is not a connection you need to save. The person who is right for you will not require you to sacrifice your dignity. They will not make you afraid of being yourself. They will not punish you for having boundaries. They will not demand that you prove your love by tolerating disrespect. Healthy love makes room for two whole people, not one person disappearing inside the other. So perhaps the real message is not simply, "You are about to miss your future spouse." Perhaps it is, "You are about to miss an opportunity to recognize what healthy love actually looks like." And that is why you should pay attention. Because your next relationship may not feel like your previous ones. It may not begin with obsession. It may begin with curiosity. It may not be full of dramatic highs and lows. It may be steady. It may not make you question whether they care. Their actions may answer that question for you. And perhaps one day, when you look back, you will realize the signs were never about magic. They were about behavior, consistency, respect, timing, and two people choosing each other. So don't chase. Don't force. Don't obsess. But don't hide either. If you meet someone genuine, allow yourself to be seen. If someone shows consistent interest, don't automatically assume they will hurt you. If someone gives you peace, don't immediately call it boring. And if someone repeatedly shows you that they cannot give you what you need, don't call that destiny. Your future deserves better. Maybe the person you are meant to build with is closer than you think. Maybe you have already met them. Maybe you will meet them soon. Maybe they are currently a stranger. No one can honestly guarantee their identity or promise that a specific person is destined to marry you. But one thing is certain. You can become ready for a relationship that is mutual, healthy, honest, and real. And when that opportunity appears, don't let fear make the decision before you do. Because the person you are about to miss may not be someone running away. They may simply be waiting for you to notice. Waiting for one genuine conversation. Waiting for you to stop comparing them to your past. Waiting for you to see their actions instead of your assumptions. And perhaps this is your reminder to slow down and look again. Look at the person who consistently shows up. Look at the person who respects you. Look at the person who makes you laugh without trying too hard. Look at the person who remembers the little things. Look at the person who makes you feel comfortable being yourself. Look at the person whose presence brings peace rather than confusion. You don't have to call them your soulmate. You don't have to call them your future spouse. Just give yourself permission to discover who they really are. Because maybe the person you thought was just another person is actually someone who could become very important in your story. And maybe the moment you stop overlooking them is the moment your story begins to change. So before you leave this message, remember these words. Don't miss something genuine because you were waiting for something dramatic. Don't reject peace because you are familiar with chaos. Don't let your past choose your future. Don't allow fear to make decisions for your heart. And most importantly, don't confuse being pursued with being loved. The person who truly belongs in your life will not only want your attention. They will want to know you. They will respect you. They will support you. They will communicate. They will make effort. And they will choose you freely. That is the connection worth recognizing. That is the connection worth building. And if someone comes into your life who makes you feel safe enough to be yourself, don't rush to decide where it will end. Just be present. Have the conversation. Take the next step. And let time reveal the rest. Because sometimes the greatest love story does not begin with, "That's the person I've been waiting for." It begins with, "I almost didn't notice them." And perhaps you are closer to that moment than you think.